Hey sightseers, remember doing this?
There are probably actions on the other side of the mall.
For those of you who might be too young and have no idea what I'm talking about, back in the 80s, it used to be the thing to do was come hang out at the mall all day. Unfortunately, the face of retail has since changed, and many malls in America are either dead or dying. Today I'm going to show you around this particular mall so you can see what's all left of it. This mall is rather unique in that when you first look at it, you'd have no clue that perhaps there's a dying mall inside. So in order to do that, we're going to go back outside and I'm going to show you around so you can see for yourself what it is that makes this particular mall unique. And then we'll come back in and I'll show you around.
Looking around, you're going to see your average strip mall type businesses. You've got your Joann Fabrics, Harbor Freight, a Petco, and a Dollar Tree. All typical fare at a strip mall. There doesn't appear to be a dead mall anywhere, except we know differently. And here's our first clue. I'll zoom in on that so you can get a better look. It says mall entrance. So that's our first clue that there is a dead mall here, hidden in plain sight. And then this is the second mall entrance, going in through the Yonkers, or what used to be Yonkers. We'll walk in this way and start the video from there. The name of this mall is the Pine Tree Mall. It was built in 1978 and then expanded and renovated in 1998. It originally housed 4 anchor stores, Yonkers being one of them, Dunham Sports, which we saw the entrance over at the other end, and then JCPenney and Walmart. Its current owners have it listed for sale with no set asking price, so you can make an offer. Maybe they'll accept it. Here we've got the rules of conduct for the Pine Tree Mall. Nothing unusual stands out except for the one about obtaining permission first to video and photograph there. Obviously, these rules have been updated for the modern technology age. As we know, back in the 80s, people wouldn't have had such accessibility or wouldn't have been the norm to do so. Speaking of the 80s, is that an orange Julius left over from back then?
One of the things that the current mall owners are doing is trying to revitalize the buildings here. And instead of keeping it the traditional mall where you have all the stores on the inside, what they're doing is a term of demalling it by making all the spaces accessible from the outside. In other words, they're turning it into more of a strip mall type shopping experience. As you can see, Petco has moved in over here and is doing a wonderful business at the new location.
Before I give you any thoughts and perspective on that, who remembers these? The classic candy machines and bubblegum dispensers. I wonder how old these things are. If you're watching this and wondering what type of music they have piped in through the mall speakers, they play a mix of that 50s and 60s real light-hearted rock. I don't even know if it's considered rock, but that style of music. And the reason I have it muted is because of YouTube's policies on copyrighted materials. I just didn't want to risk having the video flagged. So you'll notice that unless I'm speaking directly to you and it picks up a little in the background, you're not going to hear what's currently playing in the mall.
Last year, Yonkers closed its doors after Bonton, its parent company, went bankrupt. As you can see, there's nothing left. It's a sad thing because Yonkers happened to be one of my favorite stores, and it was the main anchor store left here.
I say that not to diminish Dunham Sports' role as being an anchor store. However, mostly I think of anchor stores as being the Macys, the JCPenney's of the world. So my apologies to Dunham Sports. But what we're looking at here are the old makeup and jewelry counters from Yonkers. You can see that Estee Lauder is one of the makeup brands that first greeted you when you walked in through the mall. Now, this isn't one of those elaborate malls with ornate fixtures and structures. However, this one has unique planter boxes with live plants and a former water fountain that's no longer in use. Alright, so let's go check out the rest of the interior mall spaces. Due to demalling, not too many of them remain. Here we have the old athlete's foot. Surprisingly, there's a few businesses still operating inside. For example, the GNC is open. Oh yeah, don't mind me. I'm just getting down to that groovy music they're playing. According to the chiffons, it's one fine day. Hard to believe that a Hallmark used to reside inside here. At least that's what I've been told. Marty remembers it being a Hallmark store. If somebody else remembers it differently, leave it in the comments section below. As I mentioned previously, the current owners are trying to revitalize this space by converting it into a strip mall shopping experience. While I think this is wise given the current retail climate, it'll be interesting to see which retailers are still here in the next couple of years. What do you think? Did they sell jewelry, sunglasses, or watches in this place? If we're talking about the 80s, any one of those three would have been perfect guesses. Back then, those would have been typical items being sold at the kiosks. If we're referring to more modern times, my guess would be cell phones and electronic devices. One of the best parts about hanging out at the mall, in my opinion, was hitting up the food court. I especially love the old style Orange Julius's, hence you'll find a lot of references to that, even though I have no idea whether or not Orange Julius was actually a part of this mall. It would be interesting to get a hold of some old floor plans to see what businesses were actually here in the 80s. I would be curious to know if this was the only place in the entire mall to get food, or if there was another area as well. This is most likely where you ordered your Orange Julius back in the 80s. They probably converted it later to sell cookies and coffee. Again, I have no way of confirming that without seeing some floor plans, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm not really sure what's up with all these shopping carts. Maybe we've stumbled upon Bubbles' secret stash. Looking down the empty corridor, it's hard to believe that at one time this was the happening place to do your shopping. And if I remember correctly, County Seat was the retail store you went to when you wanted to buy a new pair of jeans, as they kept a huge selection of name brand jeans in stock. There's no doubt in my mind what store we're looking at here, as we can still clearly read the name of the store, even though the lettering has since been removed. Since we're getting close to the other mall entrance, we're going to regroup here and take a look at the mall looking in from the entrance towards Dunham Sports. We've got our friendly neighborhood grill, otherwise known as Applebee's. This would have been really fun to try out. At one time you could stick a quarter in here, or however much this costs, and run the trains. Since it's no longer working, we're going to have to use our imaginations and make our own train noises. Chugga, chugga, choo, choo. I recently read online that people were debating whether or not you needed 2 or 1 chuggas in front of choo choo to make it official. Another empty corridor. I thought this place would be bustling with mall walkers. Dunham Sports is one of the original anchor stores, and as you can see, it's still hanging on. And hanging on is right, considering the number of retailers set to close in 2019. I wonder how long Dunham Sports is actually going to be around in any capacity.
Behind me here is the old Macys. Now, because of the lack of foot traffic through this mall as it was dying, Macys decided to pull out, and they built their own separate standalone store, which is just down the road from here next door to Walmart. And over there, they seem to be having a successful business venture.
As I was researching information online about the Pine Tree Mall, I did happen across this more relatively recent floor plan. And I say relatively recent in that it still shows Walmart being one of the anchor stores, or at least the area where Walmart was. As you can see from this other floor plan, that area has since been converted into Planet Fitness. Or at least part of it is Planet Fitness. It looks like the other part of it is still open for whatever business venture ends up in there. And I just want to point out quickly, the entrance to the former JCPenney's has been walled off, likely due to the demalling.
This is where they're keeping all the old Christmas decorations. If you look in there, you can see trees with bulbs on it, Christmas bulbs, and even Santa's chair.
Unfortunately, the glare on the glass makes it difficult to see, but they're in there. And that's all she wrote, folks. Time for me to head on over to TJ Maxx and score some good stuff. Until next time, I'm Sightseeing Sally. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down depending on what your thoughts were. And share with all your friends on social media.